the experience and the memories and get together with their friends.
And a look at what COVID Spring Weekend could look like. Sbu TV starts now. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Michaela Hyman.
And I'm Jaron Holmes. Seniors and graduates, grab your cap and gown because graduation is now in person. We now go live from the Richter Center with Janice Washington, who has the story.
Thanks, Jaron. I'm here live at the Richter Center where the graduating class of 2021 will be holding their ceremony. School officials have chosen this site as a safe way to hold the ceremony during the pandemic. Each division of science, arts, graduate, business, education, communication, and health professions will have their own ceremony. There will be no overlap and the times will be released later in the semester. Not all faculty and staff will be in attendance for graduation. 2 guests are allowed to attend per graduate. Photographers will be provided to take a picture during the ceremony. The university will most likely allow graduates to take photos outside the Richter. If cases spike, like the fall, the university will hold a virtual ceremony. 2 seniors gave their thoughts on the new graduation plan.
I'm happy we're having an in-person graduation personally.
It'll be different, but like I said, it'll be just great to be able to walk the stage, and at least have a couple family members there and their support.
We all know graduation is going to be different this year. We've learned that the ceremony will be a dedication to Dr. Dennis DePiro, who passed away from COVID earlier this month. For those that are in attendance, the track will be available for faculty and staff to watch the graduation ceremony. Reporting live from the Richter Center, I'm Janice Washington. Jaron, back to you.
Thank you, Janice.
Cases continue to increase in both the county and here on campus this week. Within Cattaraugus County, active cases rise to over 130. Total cases since the beginning of the pandemic climbed to almost 4,700. COVID-related deaths remain at 90. And before you head out to classes this morning, check just minutes ago, 16 active cases on campus. 52 people have recovered, bringing the total cases since the beginning of the semester to 68.
Easter is right around the corner. Governor Cuomo is lifting travel restrictions as COVID-19 cases are decreasing in New York State. Although the university is highly discouraging it, students are traveling home to visit their families.
I'm probably more excited going home this semester than last, just because last semester I had a quarantine, and luckily this semester I don't have to.
In the United States after April 1st, international travelers are still required to quarantine.
This Sunday kicks off Holy Week on the Catholic calendar. Several masses will be held on campus with students present for the first time in about 30 years. Palm Sunday masses will be held this Sunday at 11 and 7 in the Doyle Chapel. Palms will be distributed by people wearing gloves to avoid cross-contamination. And later next week, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Easter masses will all be offered. Take a look at your screens right now. That are all the masses that are going to be offered here on campus. All of these will take place in the Doyle Chapel. Attendance will be capped to only 50 people allowed for each service.
Figure out all this stuff for almost like the first time. It's not hard, but it adds extra work because you're not taking stuff off the shelf. Oh, we did that last year, or we did that 2 years ago. We've just never done it here. The thing is, so we just don't know what to expect. If we get more people than we can accommodate, we're going to encourage them to go across the street to St. Bonaventure Parish.
So here's what you need to know in case you missed it. 2 other local Catholic churches will be hosting Holy Week services. Both Little Bona's right across the street and St. Mary's of the Angels in Olean are offering services. If you want to go to off-campus Easter, St. Mary's does require reservations. Head to our social media pages for that information and all of that you'll need to know for this upcoming Holy Week.
The countdown from 35 days to spring weekend has begun here on St. Bonaventure's campus. But can the recent uptick in COVID cases halt the planned celebrations? I spoke with the rector of the event to learn more. Students and faculty are counting down the days to spring weekend. But in the last 2 weeks, the amount of positive COVID-19 cases rose to 16 on campus as of today, leaving students to worry if the plans will be canceled due to the spike. As of now, spring weekend is April 30th through May 1st. Certain activities are canceled due to COVID-19 restrictions and safety policies. But Rob DeFazio says the kickball tournament will still happen.
Socially distant, the kickball, we can pull off.
After talking with DeFazio, he and the university believe spring weekend can be done safely.
Been able to run on-campus programs all semester and last semester, in a safe way.
I'm standing in the big field behind the Richter Center, where the annual spring weekend kickball tournament takes place. This year's tournament will be a little different, with teams having to social distance and wear masks. But who's to say that faculty and students won't be able to get a kick out of this year's kickball tournament?
Just that little bit of normalcy. I just think that's all we're really looking for. It's going to be different, but it's something we can all look forward to and are excited to have. But, it's going to be a memory for us. And honestly, at this point, that's all I'm asking for.
I asked DeFazio how important spring weekend is to this year's seniors in particular.
For our seniors to have the experience and the memories and get together with their friends, be able to laugh and run around and, I'll say just be kids, but just be kids.
I'm Jaron Holmes with Sbu TV.
At the beginning of the school year, the university introduced COVID screening forms. Students are required to fill out the form daily in order to track COVID. This month, the university introduced the Bonabucks raffle as an incentive to fill it out. Students who complete their screening every day of the week are entered into the raffle for a chance to win $50 in Bonabucks. Sbu TV spoke with Rob DeFazio about why the raffle was created.
Oftentimes, we always focus on, things students aren't doing. We have a lot of students that are doing what, we've asked them to do, and, we should find a way to reward them.
Over 400 students are entered into the raffle weekly out of the over 1,000 students supposed to be participating. Winners can use Bonabucks at places like the RC Cafe and at the campus bookstore. March is almost over, which means warmer weather is upon us. Are you wondering what fall semester is going to look like here at Bonas and feel like? Look no further. Sbu TV's Jordan Mejia has the answers for you.
Warmer weather is coming, which means that before we know it, fall semester will be here. But what does that mean during a time of a pandemic where we can't really have the amazing Richter Center games or hardly interact with anyone? Due to the efforts of each and every student and faculty member, the daily health forums and pool testing have been around 83% compliant. The incoming freshman class for the best case scenario will have 4 in-person sessions and 1 online session. Whether or not there will be an overnight is still up in the air. I guess we only have one other question left, and that is what's going to happen during the fall semester. Chief Communications Officer Tom Missel has the answer for you.
Like every college's hopes, we're hoping that fall will be as close to normal as possible. That said, for example, we're going to leave the classroom structures as they are for the time being, just in case we have to stay with distancing and everything else. But trying to predict what the protocols will be like I said, even a month from now, as opposed to in August and early September, just impossible. So
remember to keep masking up, filling out the daily form, and social distance when possible. This is Jordan Mejia with Sbu TV.
A deadly shooting within the city of Olean Wednesday night leaves 1 man dead. 35-year-old Alexis Figueroa passed at Olean General Hospital from multiple gunshot wounds later that evening. According to the Olean police, the shooting occurred outside near the corner of South 3rd and West Green Streets. Olean police state the shooting was an isolated incident and do not believe that the public is in any danger. They have not confirmed a motive, but they do state that they do have some leads.
Republican Congressman Tom Reed apologized for sexual misconduct allegations. Reed states that he will not run for re-election. The 23rd District Representative takes full responsibility for the inappropriate actions. According to the Washington Post, Nicolette Davis alleges Reed made a drunken, unwanted pass at her in a bar in 2017. Reed states at the time of the incident, he was suffering from alcoholism and apologizes to Davis. Prior to the allegations, Reed considered a possible candidate to run against New York Governor Andrew Cuomo.
And speaking of the New York governor, the investigation into the sexual misconduct allegations against Andrew Cuomo are still underway. According to one of the abuser's attorney, Deborah Katz, the governor's office launched their own inquiry into the allegation. Katz states that the internal inquiry is getting in the way of the official investigation. Attorney General Letitia James selected an outside law firm to lead the investigation back in February. Cuomo states he will not resign and continues to urge people to wait for the investigation to conclude.
Coming up after the break, we dive into issues at the NCAA women's tournament bubble, and we recap the men's basketball season and look at where they go next. Stay with us.
If doctors, nurses, and grocery store clerks can wear a mask for 10 or 12-hour shifts, you can wear a mask for an hour or less when you go to the store. Do your part. Be New York tough. Mask up, America.
What to expect when you're expecting
Like here.
a teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to team-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
Ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
I don't think we're free in this country. For 100 years, you saw black people menaced and targeted and lynched and beaten and brutalized. I think we're burdened by this history. More people have to be willing to do that uncomfortable, inconvenient thing that justice requires for things to get better. Truth can inspire change. Learn more at EJI.org.
Welcome back. Developing this week, revelations about the differences in weight rooms, food, and more between the men's and women's NCAA tournament bubbles. Images shared on social media show the men's bubble having a larger weight room and men's players receiving more merchandise. Rich Williams has the story.
This is what the women's weight room looked like at their NCAA tournament bubble. And this was the men's. Differences in swag bags and food given to the men's and women's players have also been shared on social media throughout the week. And these images share how the men's players have received more than the women's at their respective bubbles. I talked with St. Bonaventure women's basketball players Olivia Brown and Tori Harris to hear what they had to say about the differences.
Even more than that, if you're just looking at what those women got, a rack of dumbbells and a few yoga mats, I mean, that's insane.
I mean, I just think that the respect should just always be there for women's sport. There has never been any, reason to discredit it in the first place, you know?
Also, WNBA stars like A'ja Wilson took to Twitter to voice their opinions. I'm in the Richter Center right now, where just to my right is where the men's and basketball teams do play. We have heard from them, but the NCAA has released a statement regarding the situation. Take a look. Lynn Holzman, NCAA Vice President of Women's Basketball, said, "We fell short and that the problem would be fixed." She credited a lack of space at the beginning of the tournament as a reason for limited workout options. And the NCAA did hold true to their promise of improving facilities by the next day. For Sbu TV, I'm Rich Williams.
NCAA women's tournament will resume Saturday with 4 Sweet 16 matches throughout the day.
Last Saturday, the men's team lost a heartbreaker in the first round of the NCAA tournament, 76-61 versus LSU. Despite an impressive defensive performance holding LSU to just 12 points more than the halfway through the first half, Cam Thomas and the company were just too much to handle. LSU built a 16-point lead and never let it go. And while the loss was disappointing, it's hard not to look back on the season and smile. This morning, our own Nick Gillian takes that emotional journey with us.
And Vasquez will have 2 shots. Yeah, this is... And that's the part of...
Losing is difficult.
Control, 76.
Heartbreak
The first initial thought was just sadness, honestly, and like anger.
Every emotion that you could possibly think of hitting you exactly as that zero and that horn went off.
In more ways than one. A season wrought with adversity.
Understanding that our season can be taken away in the blink of an eye. One mess up and we're done.
Through our head is like, will we ever play basketball again? Like, we could die from this.
These players are a part of the St. Bonaventure community. The pride the community has in the team, and vice versa.
It just felt that much more special that they had all this love for us this year.
It will never be the same for this team.
Not everybody comes back. And you made a run with the guys that were out there with you every single day.
But this year, they combined for one of the best Bonnie's teams in St. Bonaventure history. For Sbu TV, I'm Nick Gellion.
Now, Jaron, you were at the big dance as a key player in our starting five line. What was that experience like in just a few words?
Breathtaking. A moment that I'll never forget. I got to spend that with my family and teammates who I love dearly.
It's amazing.
Coming up later in sports, we introduce you to the famous Irish sport that keeps its athletes close to their roots. Our own Grace Foley dives into the world of Ireland's national sport, hurling. Stay tuned.
And when we come back, the suspect in the Colorado shooting expected to make his first court appearance, and New York State moves towards recreational cannabis legalization. Stay tuned.
Hi. Can I get the now bar, please?
No problem. $1.
Have a good one.
Got it.
Hi, can I get a now bar, please?
$1.
Thanks.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Hey, let me get a now bar.
Sure. $1.
Appreciate you.
You got it.
How's it going? Can I get a now bar?
Hey, stop right there! Get down on the ground! Out of your flat rank, get down! Show me your hands!
Have you heard of the Palmer Opera House? It has been in the community of Cuba for roughly 150 years. Sbu TV's Hannah Legacy gives you an inside look into the Palmer Opera House.
The Palmer, built in 1867, has many memories echoing in its halls.
Performances were held here of all kinds. Through the years, there have been everything from silent movies to musicals and plays.
The Cuba Friends of Architecture, owner of the building, has continued the Opera House's legacy of community entertainment and service. The organization has made 3 businesses out of the Palmer building: the Opera House, the Perfect Blend Coffee House and Eatery, and By the Light of the Moon gift shop. With the money raised, not only can the Palmer Opera House remain open, but funds can go to the Friends of Architecture, revitalizing the town. For instance, in 2006, it restored the Palmer Opera House after being left to rot with water damage and collapsed floors. I'm at one of the other projects by the Cuba Friends of Architecture, the Genesee Valley Canal Railroad Station. Thanks to the help of volunteers and grant money, the Friends of Architecture put this place back together plank by plank. The station now rests next to the McKinney Stables, another historical location. Patricia Rawson, a longtime member, volunteer, and performer at the Opera House, gave me some insight.
So for me, I love it. It's not just about me, it's about everyone I can hear. And I never would have been able to hear. Do you know what I'm saying?
Once the pandemic ends, the Palmer Opera House will continue events it held before COVID, like trivia and open mic nights. However, it will also continue events it's adapted to have, like music on the lawn performances. For Sbu TV, I'm Hannah Legacy. New, now, next.
A mass shooting takes 10 lives in Boulder, Colorado this week. The suspect accused of Monday's massacre at a Boulder grocery store expected to make his first court appearance. Meanwhile, the community mourns the victims of the shooting. People lined the streets to watch a procession for the Boulder police officer Eric Talley, who was among those who were killed. Investigators currently reconstructing what happened while they search for motive. The Biden administration says the president may take executive action to advance stricter gun rules, and Colorado Senator Michael Bennet urges his colleagues to take action.
New York lawmakers reportedly finalizing a cannabis law, according to a legislative source familiar with the negotiations. According to the new proposal, a 13% tax would be tacked onto the retail sales of marijuana. Some of that money would go towards education and drug treatment. This law would eventually allow New Yorkers over the age of 21 to grow their own cannabis plants in their homes. An Office of Cannabis Management would be created, and licenses for different steps of the supply chain would be issued, including farming, processing, distribution, dispensaries, and retail consumption sites.
President Joe Biden announces the release of $81 billion to get kids back in the classrooms and addresses inequality caused by the pandemic on Wednesday. The bill is part of Biden's effort to get most schools open in his first 100 days in office. The administration releases funding for schools in all 50 states, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico. The $81 billion is part of the $122 billion set aside for schools in the COVID relief package. The rest of the money will be available after states submit their developing plans for using funds to safely reopen schools.
And after the break, Anthony Goss will be in for sports with a major update on the status of the St. Bonaventure's men's basketball roster. And Grace Foley introduces us to the sport of hurling. Stick around, Sbu TV will be right back.
Observe a domesticated human family in their natural habitat, known to their species as the backyard.
Hey, you think I should light it now?
I think it's good.
Yeah?
Oh dear, someone is about to burn a pile of debris that's too tall, which can start a wildfire. Wait, could it be? Blimey, it is.
It's Smokey.
It's Smokey Bear. What a legend.
Hey, it's Smokey. Sorry, it was too high. Right.
Watch as he astutely ensures that there's no wind, and how he removes some of the debris to create a smaller, safer burning pile.
No, you said make it bigger, baby. The bigger, the better.
Take note of our fearless furry friend here, humans.
I appreciate it. Fist bump.
Watching you.
Smokey's done it again.
Hi, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back, and thank you for sticking with us this morning. We take you now to Anthony Goss, who is live and in studio for another week of Sbu TV Sports. Anthony, good morning.
After a historic season for the St. Bonaventure men's basketball team came to a close last Saturday in Bloomington, it only made sense to immediately scope out the state of next year's squad. While the return of all 5 starters bodes well for a potential return to the big dance, it hasn't been a favorable start to the offseason for a team already short on depth. Sophomore guard Alejandro Vasquez and junior center Jalen Shaw both entered their names into the transfer portal earlier this week. Vasquez was the youngest scholarship player on the roster and played a pivotal role as the team's 6th man this season, averaging over 4 points per game in 21 appearances. After the departure of Justin Winston in late December, Shaw served much of the year as the team's only reserve big and compiled quality minutes when Oshun Oshuni would go to the bench. The 2 departures leave head coach Mark Schmidt with 6 scholarship slots to fill. Neither player has indicated yet where their transfer destination will be. As we transition from the winter season to a packed spring sports season, the St. Bonaventure baseball team prepares for its home opener this weekend. The Bonnies will look to shake off a 3-game sweep against Youngstown State as they welcome a familiar foe to Fred Handler Park Saturday afternoon. St. Bonaventure will break in their home slate with back-to-back doubleheaders Saturday and Sunday against LaSalle. Head coach Larry Sudbrook returns an experienced bunch for this season. Starting pitchers Donovan Moffitt and Elijah Baez on the mound last weekend combined to give up just 4 runs. And players like Brendan Stillman will look to build on their hot starts from the shortened 2020 campaign. But for Coach Sudbrook, getting his players back on the diamond is what he's looking forward to most.
The most important thing is they get a play. I mean, We had some seniors last year. 3 of those guys came back for the 5th year that they were granted. I mean, we've already been COVIDed out of our first weekend. So even when you get the word that you're all clear, that doesn't mean that the team you're playing is all clear.
First pitch on one of Saturday's doubleheaders with the Explorers is set for noon. The Bonnies will look forward to their first home game in 680 days. There may be a litany of sports to cover this spring season, but one I can assure you isn't offered at St. Bonaventure is hurling. Renowned in Irish culture, hurling has been passed down in Irish tradition for years. Our own Grace Foley explored the world of the sport that combines baseball, lacrosse, and field hockey.
When one hears the word hurling, there are a couple things that come to mind, some more pleasant than others. In the Irish community, hurling is a sport that defines the Gaelic culture.
It's actually one of the oldest field sports in the world. Historically, they go back a couple of thousand years. There's no real regulations until the late 1800s in Ireland, when there was sort of a movement to have a focus on Irish language, arts, and sports.
Hurling is the perfect blend of lacrosse, baseball, and field hockey. They play on the field about the size of 1.5 American football fields. While many might think people do the sport because of its competitiveness and physical nature, a lot of people tend to do it because it lets them stay connected to their roots.
The community feel of it, I think, is great. And again, it is the draw to me was my parents are from Ireland and my cousins played when I was little, and I never thought I would never even crossed my mind. I watched them play when I was a kid and I was like, wow, that's something they do that I'll never be able to do.
Finding a community to connect him back to home was important for Brendan McGinn. But sharing his knowledge of his heritage to others looking to create a bond with their ancestors finds itself to be a very rewarding task.
Living outside of where you've grown up, you always want something that reminds you of home. I've reached out to an Irish American community that I didn't know existed. I'm playing something that I grew up in a different country, and also have the ability just to show them what this sport means to me and how great a sport it is.
These hurlers find a connection to their home and their sport. Their goal? To help others find the same connection to a special land and a special culture. For Sbu TV Sports, I'm Grace Foley.
Switching now to a little NHL news. The Buffalo Sabres made history last night, and not in a good way. A 4-0 loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins marked the team's 16th straight defeat. They extend what is now their longest losing streak in franchise history. Pittsburgh's Jared McCann led the offensive attack with 2 goals last night. The Sabres haven't claimed a victory since February 23rd. Their next chance to get back in the win column comes tomorrow afternoon as they head to Boston for a 1 o'clock matchup with the Bruins. And if there's one thing we've learned about sports in a pandemic, you have to be extra careful around a hot mic. The NHL fired 22-year veteran referee Tim Peel Wednesday following an incident in Tuesday's Predators-Red Wings game. After Nashville forward Victor Arvidsson was assessed a tripping penalty on Detroit defenseman John Merrill, a rinkside TV microphone caught this audio going to commercial break.
It wasn't much, but I wanted to get a penalty against Nashville early in the...
The voice trails off there, but the NHL did later determine the voice to be Peel's. The league said in a statement he would no longer be working NHL games now or in the future, although he is still listed on the NHL Officials Association's active referees roster. And in anticipation of Saturday's baseball home opener for the Bonnies, we broke out our spring edition of Sbu TV Sports Trivia. Our question this week: when was the last time the St. Bonaventure baseball team won its home opener? Who did the win come against? And who was the winning pitcher? How about Sbu TV Sports Trivia savant Dan Geyer, a junior here at St. Bonaventure, coming in with the clean sweep and hitting all 3 parts of this week's question. March 29, 2019, the Bonnies took down Bucknell in their home opener, and Donovan Moffett came on in relief to take the win. Congratulations, Dan, on another trivia victory. And no show next week, with it being Good Friday, but that doesn't mean we're taking a week off from Sbu TV Sports Trivia. Stay tuned to our social media accounts for next week's question coming your way on Tuesday. Jaron, Michaela, back over to you.
Thank you, Anthony. And up on your screens right now, Sbu TV's social media handles. We won't have a broadcast next Friday, so make sure you give us a follow to stay alert on everything happening in your local community.
And before we leave you this morning, we wanted to share some exciting news. Our own Sbu TV sports director, Tommy Valentine, ranked within the top 20 for the Hearst TV news competition. The Hearst Journalism Awards program recognizes outstanding journalism within colleges and universities throughout the nation. Tommy Valentine ranked 13th out of all applicants. He is the first of all Bonaventure students to receive this honor since the university earned accreditation. Tommy, we could not be more proud of you, and it is a pleasure to have you as a classmate and a lifelong friend. That is all the time we have for this morning. It has been a pleasure. I'm Michaela Hyman.
And I'm Jaron Holmes. Thank you for being with us.